Welcome to the Wayne Bennett podcast, celebrating West Virginia's people, places, and the culture of Southern Appalachia. Now here's your host, Wayne Bennett.
Hello, this is Wayne Bennett, and this is episode 23 of the Easy Come, Easy Go podcast. And last Saturday, July the 3rd, my wife Diane and I celebrated our 51st wedding anniversary. And we decided today we'd tell you a little bit about the actual wedding that took place in 1970. First of all, after years of stalking and the question been popped to me several times, I finally submitted to Diane's proposal that we get married. and we decided, how did we decide on July the 3rd? Was that?
That was close to Mom and Dad's anniversary, which theirs is July 1st. But it was a weekend. It was going to be, it was on a Friday. And we wanted to have it on the Friday because you had to go back to work on Monday. So we'd have Friday, Saturday, Sunday for our honeymoon.
And I was working at the Coca-Cola plant at that time, and I hadn't worked there too long, and so I didn't have any time off, and couldn't. So we had to do it on a weekend. We had asked Jim Wilburn to be our to marry us, and when we went over and talked to him, he had informed us that he wasn't quite ordained or licensed, certified enough to perform a marriage at that time. And of course, I had attended Jones Memorial Baptist Church, top of the hill where we lived, for years and been baptized there, saved there. And so John Daniel was the preacher at that church at the time, and we went and talked to him, and he said he'd be glad to do it, and the church was available, and so it was July the 3rd, 1970, we decided to get married. Now, we didn't have a lot of money. I was making $1.65 an hour, and it wasn't an extravagant wedding by all means. You made your dress and...
Right. I'd never been to a wedding, so I didn't know all the things that went into putting on a big wedding anyway. So a small wedding was exactly what we needed. So I made my dress, and I made my little sister's dresses. And Susan, my maid of honor, actually had a dress that she had wore to the prom. And so that was the dress that she wore.
And who was your maid of honor?
Susan DeVore Foster Tate.
And you'd been friends from early youth.
Yeah. When I was in the 6th grade, we moved over into the Clough Street neighborhood, or the East Beckley neighborhood, and met her at Lincoln Elementary.
Yeah, and my best man was Willie Hilton, and we had grown up together there in that neighborhood, and he had been in the Marine Corps and was back, and I guess, yeah, and so you talk about what you wore. I wore the same. I only had one suit. I wore it during my high school graduation, and then I wore it at the wedding, and I think later I wore it when I graduated from college. I'm not sure, but I'm surprised it still fit. But I got a lot of use out of that suit. It actually came with 2 vests, and got a lot of use out of it. So we were going to get married on Friday evening. We had our preacher, we had our best man, we had everything. The cake. Now, who made the cake? I can't remember.
We had there was a bakery uptown, and they actually made the cake.
And we were going to have the reception in the bottom of the church, and that was basically just some drinks and the cake, and that was basically it. Not a big party or anything like that. So the day, actually the night before on Thursday, things go through your head. I was. I don't know whether you've ever heard the song "My Fair Lady," but song "I'm Getting Married in the Morning." Well, that I wasn't getting married in the morning, but I that kept going through my mind all the time. And ding dong, the bells are going to chime, and I'm not even sure the church had bells, but. So I was going to work a half a day, and then was going to take time off, go get a haircut, and then get ready to go for the wedding. And I had a, like I said, I hadn't been working very long at Coca-Cola, and there was a guy who was a little more senior to me. We had to punch in a clock and had to punch out when we got done working, and I was kind of the flunky. I did just whatever they. Sometimes I work on the line, sometimes I work on a truck, sometimes I work in the cooler department. It just depended on whatever they needed. And so this one guy I worked with, he said, I told him, I said, well, at noon I'm going down and tell the boss I need to go home and take off. And he said, he'd been working there for a lot longer than I had. And he said, oh, don't worry about it. You get married, just go ahead and take off, and I'll punch you out, and you'll get paid for 2 or 3 hours. You won't get shorted on that for the afternoon. He said, don't worry about it. Old Bob will take care of you. And I said, okay. And so that's what I did. I just left, and Willie and I met, and I don't know, we decided we both needed a haircut, but for some reason we didn't go to the barber we normally went to. We stopped at this barber, I think it was in Beaver, and he didn't know either one of us, and he cut our hair, and we asked him to block it in the back, and didn't know till later that he'd blocked it up really high, and on both of us there was a big white patch of skin. When you saw pictures of us with our back to him, there's a big patch of white skin there that we had, just because he really didn't know us that well. That evening, we had it was a simple ceremony. We both decided we didn't want to have to say a whole lot. We were young, and so we just basically kept it to where we just said "I do." That was it. And but we had a piano player. She was as young as we were. How did that come about?
I knew Becky from she was like a childhood friend. And her mom taught all of us some piano, but Becky was awesome. She could play anything. So that's how Becky became our piano player. Becky Ivan, what's her name?
Becky Ivan,
Yeah.
Leach now. Becky
Yeah.
Ivan Leach, and we didn't have, like I said, we didn't have a party. Big party in the bottom of the church or anything like that. But I was. I'm looking at some things, and of course she played the wedding march and pretty traditional stuff. But I was looking at some things and want to kind of offer you some advice, and you probably know this, but at the wedding reception or when you're walking out, there the top 10 songs that you don't play at a wedding, and one of them, number 10. The song, You've Lost That Loving Feeling. Don't want to play that one at a wedding. And number 9, Another One Bites the Dust. That's, and I think I've heard that at a wedding once before. But number 8, Marvin Gaye, Let's Get It On. That might be a little bit too pushy, I guess. But and number 7, songs that you don't want to play at a wedding is by Engelbert Humperdinck, Please Release Me. Number 6, I know this wasn't true in our case, the song called Gold Digger. I don't think you were looking for that $1.65 I was making an hour.
No,
and,
I don't think
or number 5 by Elvis Presley, It's Now or Never. Number 4, songs you don't want to play at a wedding is by Tina Turner, What's Love Got to Do with It? Number 3 ranked, this is by Carly Simon, You're So Vain. I don't think that'd go over too well with a young marriage. Number 2 song You Give Love a Bad Name by Bon Jovi. But the number one song that you definitely don't want to play at a wedding is Tammy Wynette. Divorce. Don't want to play that one. That won't go over well. But anyway, after the ceremony and after the little reception we had, we go out and get in the car, and our plans were we was going to drive around town for a second, kind of blow the horn, and they had cans on and then had the car decorated a little bit, and then we're going to go back and get our clothes and stuff and take off for our honeymoon. And so we went out to get in the car, and I had a '68 Chevrolet. Actually, it was a pretty nice car, but everybody was waving goodbye and all this, and we went to start the car, and all of a sudden smoke started pouring out of the car and the motor, and Diane's brother Danny, I could see he was just having a time laughing, and somebody had hooked a smoke bomb up to the spark plugs, and whenever the electricity hit them, it ignited the smoke bomb, and it went off, and I lifted up the hood and saw what it was. Of course, they were, the ones in on it, they thought it was really funny. Well, I didn't take the thing off of the spark plugs, and we took off down the road, and the car was running pretty rough, and I thought, man, we're not going to be able to go anywhere with this car. Then I realized that thing was still on there, so we had to get out and take the smoke bomb off the spark plugs, and so we spent our honeymoon. We went to Hinton, and this is back when they didn't have an interstate. And remember, we only had a weekend, and we didn't have a lot of finances, and we stayed at the Coast to Coast Motel.
Yeah, down at the bottom of the Hinton Mountain.
And they did have a swimming pool, and right there on the road. And just last week when we were visiting, of course they've torn the motel down now, and it's nothing sits there, I don't think. And
No,
but it was that was as far as we could go. And during that weekend, we visited Pipe Stem, and we
played some putt-putt golf at Pipe Stem. I don't think they had a pool back then.
Yeah,
I don't think they had made the pool yet.
Yeah, I don't think so.
It was a pretty new park.
We actually went to the movies one day.
Yeah, what did we see?
I think we saw The Ghost of Mr. Chicken with Don Knotts. I'm pretty sure that's what it was, but it was at the old Hinton Theater, and it wasn't a great movie, but it was there wasn't very many people there watching it either. But I think it was The Ghost of Mr. Chicken, and I don't know, I don't remember about the eating.
We went to a state park and ate breakfast. I can remember being in what would have been.
Yeah, we went to Bluestone State Park and went to Pipe Stem.
Okay, so we must have ate at Bluestone State Park.
Okay.
They must have had a little restaurant because we ate breakfast there.
The weekend flew by. We come back Sunday evening, and
we went to the Spaghetti House when we came back. Do you remember that?
I forgot about that. That was one of our favorite places to go eat at the time. Was Spaghetti House, and a lot of people. I mean, the spaghetti and all that stuff was good, but I always liked their shrimp and
salads.
And the
salads.
Oh, yeah, they were unbelievable. Yeah, But on Monday, I went back into work. Were you working at that time?
No.
Okay. I went back to work, and as soon as I walked in the door, the boss came up, and he said, "Where were you at Friday afternoon?" And I said, I had to leave. And he said, "Well, how come you didn't tell anybody?" And I said, "Well, actually I did." I said, I told my buddy here, and he told me he'd take care of it. And I didn't really want to get him in trouble. I knew we hadn't done the right thing, but here I'm thinking, man, my first day back from being married, and I'm going to get fired right here on the spot. And and I said, well, I thought my buddy took care of it, and evidently he didn't. And he said, well, yeah. He said, you can't leave unless you come and talk to somebody, or so we'll know what's going on. We needed you to do something, and normally Friday afternoons was not that big a deal, but that particular day. And he said, where'd you go? And I said, well, I got married Friday night, and I had some things I had to take care of for the wedding, and so I just needed to take some time off. And he said, oh, you got married? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, we pay our married guys more than we do the single guys. He said, how much you making? And I said, I'm making $1.65 an hour. And he said, well, I'll tell them in the office from now on you're making $1.70 an hour. So I got a nickel raise, which came down to 40 cents a day, and which everything kind of worked out pretty good.
Yeah, I didn't eat much anyway, so it didn't matter. 40 cents was about right.
But we actually we have a film of the wedding. Back then we didn't have a photographer. I think there were some pictures, but that's when you had the Instamatic camera.
Yeah, people gave us their pictures that they had taken, friends and stuff like that had cameras. They would give us some of their pictures too.
And I think my brother-in-law Frank he filmed, made the film, and that was 8mm, I think, and we've had them transferred over. And,
well, we had to. If you remember, he recorded that on fast speed, so it looks like all of us are speeded up, and then, everybody, that wobbly look. And so when we had it transferred over, we had them slow it down. So I was glad that we were able, that the technology has gotten so good that they can do that now.
But that was our wedding, and that was our wedding weekend, our honeymoon. And last weekend, our 51st, we went to Alderson to watch the 4th of July parade, and that was an experience. It was really something else. And
We've never done that before, so that was fun.
A lot of crowd, big crowd, and we had kind of planned on eating at one places there in Alderson, but it was too many people there. You couldn't get close to a restaurant or a paquette or anything. So when we came into Hinton, we decided we looked around there, and the same thing. It was July the 4th weekend. It was every eating place. It was packed. People going down the river. The Greenbrier River was kayakers and fishermen, and it was something else. But we did find a place down below Kirk's and the Dairy Queen. I think it's a new place, hadn't been open too long, and they did have room out on their deck, which was really nice because it was a beautiful day, and you got to watch kayakers and stuff come down New River. And it was called River City. I think it's and they basically had sandwiches. It was good, and so we ended up having a good day. And we in the meantime, we did get to stop by on the Greenbrier and see our buddy Willie Hilton, who was the best man at the wedding. Had a picture taken with him, and that was the second in a row that we've done that. So it worked out real good. But we just wanted to share our wedding with you. Chapter 2, later on, we'll share some of the formative years of our marriage. And until then, if you have a story or something you want to share with us, you can contact me at awbennett50 at gmail.com. And we would be glad to hear from you. And remember, if you're not dead yet, you're not done yet. Until next time, God bless you.